Hi, I'm Wanda from Alanda Craft, and today I'm going to show you how to put together the Shabby Chic Quilt. Now, I've used doilies that were made in the past by my mother and my mother-in-law, and I thought this was an ideal way to sort of create a tribute to their memory. And I also had to pick up a few other doilies and laces from our local op shops and just to supplement what I had. But I think this is a great way of building a memory quilt. So let's get on and show you how we did it. So what I've done is I've gone to our local op shop and I bought some material, and it's like a furnishing or a curtain material. And I bought two types, but you can use one. And it's a bit heavier than normal quilting material, and I thought that this would be ideal because it'll hold the embellishments nicely. Now, as I say, I've got two of them, and as you can see on the board behind me, I've used the heavier one to put my embellishments. I actually wish now I had reversed the process, and then here I have the lighter cream as the plain square. So what you'll do is I've cut these into 10-inch squares because I like 10-inch squares. I think they're a good size to work with, and it gives you plenty of room to add all your embellishments. Now, I've got an assortment of doilies here. Now, I'm not sure what you call them in your country, but we call them doilies. And I just think this is such a great way to use this sort of thing up, rather than just having them sit around in the cupboard. So you'll take your doily and just position it how you want. Now, you can use some adhesive spray or some fabric glue to hold things in place. So once I've got this in place, I'll finish how I want it first, but then I'll just sew a line around here just to keep that on the material. And then we'll probably take a bit of lace and pop that down here. Maybe something like this. So it's just a matter of just playing around how you want. Now I've got some of these lovely flowers here, and they have a netting on the back, and I would sew around that netting to keep that in place. And then I have these other flowers here. Those I just hand stitch on, although you can just put a stitch on either side through the leaf if you wish to machine them on. And I just keep playing until I get it how I want it, and then go ahead and sew it all on. So I'll go and do that now, and then we'll show you what it's looking like. Okay, so I've finished embellishing my squares, and I'm really happy with how they're turning out. So as you can see, I have them here. Now, I've just laid them out with my blank squares between, and I have my 10-inch strips of 2.5 inches cut. And what I'll do now is I'll add this to one side of each of these squares. So we'll sew with a 1/4 inch seam all the way down each of these, but that's just our sashing. So I'll go and do that now, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've sewn those 10-inch sashing strips to my blocks. Now the one on the end here has got 2 sashing strips, so just remember that. Okay, this one's only got 1. Now, just something I want to mention, if you're using quilting material, you'll want to stabilise it with some iron-on stabiliser. I haven't bothered to do that because this material is heavy and it holds quite nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the blocks together. Again, we just place the block over the sashing piece and sew with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'll do that with all of my blocks, and then I'll sew the whole row together. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewn my row together, so all my blocks are sewn together with the sashing. And now I need to add some long sashing. Now these are 2.5 by 48. Now don't worry about measurements, they'll all be on the website along with the full written instructions. Now because this is going to be my last piece, I need a piece of sashing along the top and also along the bottom. So I'll go and pin that and sew it, and that will be that piece finished. Okay, so I've finished my sashing on my last row, and here it is here. I've got the long pieces on now, and I've got this piece here which has also got sashing on the top. Now this piece is going to go at the top of the quilt, so I'm going to add that to here, and my other piece will go to the bottom. So I'll go and do that now. So I've finished the centre piece, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I think it looks lovely. So now what we're going to do is add a border. Now I've used some offcuts from the material that I had left over, and I'm just going to pin that and sew it. I'll sew it with a 1/4 inch seam around all the borders. And then I thought what I might do is add some lace. So I'll just sew it over the seam once this is attached. I did play around sewing it into the seam as I was doing it, but it didn't work. I ended up with all sorts of problems, so I think to add the lace last is a much better option. So we'll go on and do that now. So I've added my lace and I think it's just finished it off nicely. So now I just need to add my batting and my backing, and I need to decide how I'm going to quilt this. I haven't decided yet, thinking maybe some wavy lines. But this is an ideal way to use up your laces and your doilies. It makes a great heirloom quilt and wonderful for your daughters and granddaughters to as a keepsake. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget that the written instructions are on the website.